the mark. This that show you need to know about. We set ourselves apart. Sports talk at the pinnacle. We got all the knowledge, covering every level, helping these young men get to college. Got the coverage of a DB, vision of a QB coming at you like a DN. Let all of that sink in. Working in the weight room, we can't take no days off. Doing drills when they not looking, that's what make us stand out. Don't worry about how much time is left, we got it planned out. Execution, elite footwork, nasty when we running routes. Accuracy off the chain, we've been on it from the start. Reaching for the sky, hitting the bullseye, we on the mark.
What it do is Wednesday, you know what time it is. The On Your Mark show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete. Live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios. Of course, myself, Coach J in the building. Listen, we got an H-Town takeover. We got two of the prominent coaches in the Houston area, scouts. Listen, exposure, recruiting. These are two guys that you might want to listen up to. We're going to start with my dog, my guy, my people's, Nick Statz Gradney. He's a scout, a writer. He works for the old coach, and now he's even got his coaching bag going on with KIPP Sunnyside. We're going to talk about all that and more today. Nick, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Man,
good. Everything straight?
Yeah, man. Appreciate you hopping on, taking our time with us. Of course, Coach J's back in the building from Cali. You listen, coast to coast is like every week now. You know what I'm saying? This guy's coast to coast every week, man. You got to catch up with him. I have to dial in myself to catch up with him, man. He's back in the building as well. But listen, man, Nick, tell me how you got into scouting, how you got into recruiting, and where you are at with that today.
Man, it's crazy because dude, I just started off just like filming games. Like I had a podcast of my own, and I met this guy, Ricky, from the oldcoach.com, and just chatting with him, telling him like how interested I was being part of the team. And so it really just started from there, like just from going to games, bro, just filming games and, you know, writing articles and stuff like that. And then when I got with, you know, Jonathan Mumphrey from DR Sports, that's kind of when everything kicked off. So it's been roughly about 5 years now.
Absolutely. Listen, Nick is one of the heavyweights in the Houston area, also in Texas, but his main area, his stomping grounds, the Houston area, which is a big area for talent, big area for high school football, and everything is ready to go now. Everybody's started. So, Nick, let's dive into it. Let's talk about 5 teams that you're kind of looking forward to this year in the Houston area that you think will make some noise.
Okay, you want me to do like underrated teams or teams that you kind of expect, like how you want to?
Well, teams that you expect, and then give me 3 teams that'll make it. That have a chance to kind of break through.
Okay, well, I mean that's the easy part. The teams that you know that's at the top. You know, you got North Shore. That's man. What can you say about them? Like they is Houston. Like they pretty much run Houston. They've been running Houston for over the last 5+ years. I mean, it's no real challenges outside of maybe. You got Atascocita. They coming up. They're probably the biggest threat, I would say, especially now. I think they're going for it now. They just got Jelani Watkins. He committed. I think what did he commit to LSU? He just committed to LSU, I believe, the other day.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and then you know, Katie, you can never count out Katie. They always there. They just reload. They just reload. So I would say those probably the 3. Like guarantees, you know, they're gonna be there. And you said 5. You want 5?
Yeah, give me 2 more. Give me 2 more teams.
Okay.
I mean North Shore.
Okay. And you got.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now I'll also say the Woodlands. Offensively, bro, they explosive. They really explosive. They just got a transfer. Keandre Barker. He actually from Arkansas.
Right.
He's a 4-star recruit. He kind of modeled his game kind of like Saquon Barkley.
Right.
And actually, he's committed to Penn State, ironically.
Right.
You know, you got maybe Matawa. You got Cornell Farrakhan Jr. They loaded, though, on the offensive side, so they're going to put up a lot of points. They're going to be in the mix as well. And then, man, who I'll say, I'm gonna go with Marshall. Fort Bend Marshall. Defensively, like they second. They probably got one of the best, if not the best, secondaries in the city. They like that, man. Offensively too. They young though. They really young. That's the only. I think that'll be their only hold up is their youth. But that's another team. They pretty much good every year. They never can quite get over the hump. As always, they make it 4th round, 5th round, or maybe even when they made it to the state championship a couple of times. They can never just get all the way there. But I think this year can be special for sure. And 3 teams, that's to look out for. Like I said, I mentioned Lamar. I'm keep saying it. They young. They coming. At one point, they was heavy in the game, and they fell off a couple of years, but now I think they right back on track. They getting right back. Ridge Point. I like the kid, Austin Bethel Roman, the receiver, 4-star receiver. They pretty good. They always a sound team on both sides. And the last team I'll say probably High Tower. That's a team that nobody really talking about. But a team like that, they have 2 great players, like explosive players who can take over the game. Jeremy Payne and Zion Kearney, the receiver and the running back. So when you have 2 players like that, you it's hard to count them out. So they're my teams. I'll say just be on the lookout for them.
Absolutely, and you know what? You mentioned Jeremy Payne. I think that's a guy that really doesn't get a lot of love when he should.
No, he doesn't, man. I actually had him. I did a top 10 ranking for running back last year, and I had him in the top 5. And he may be higher than that, bro. Like right. he really good. He really good. I think he missed a couple games, I believe, last year.
Right.
They lost. They lost? I cannot remember what they lost to. But I would say if he was playing in that game, man, it'll come to me later. I'll figure it out. But no, like he's definitely a difference maker, and you could tell like when he's not in the lineup.
Absolutely, Coach. All of those teams you're very, very familiar with. A lot of kids that you were in the Humble area with the Atascocita. Zion Brown, Nick, is a guy that's on the cusp of doing some big things. This is his senior year.
Oh, yeah.
I know how bad Zion wants to beat North Shore and go out with a bang. Coach, talk about Atascocita a little bit.
And let me tell you about Zion. Before I moved here, we actually lived in the same apartment complex.
Right.
They were downstairs. I was upstairs. And when I would leave out to go train Boogie, Zion would, be headed out to go train with his dad, and the kid just has a crazy, crazy work ethic. I knew when he was in middle school that he was special, because of how hard he worked. And when he got that taste of that varsity very early, he didn't flinch. He went back to the lab and said, you know what, I got to get bigger, better, stronger, faster. And the one thing I love about Atascocita, they're constantly building that program from the inside,
right?
From the coaching staff to the kids, the community is behind the school.
Right.
So, I won't say that they have all the pieces yet until we see them play, but they're very close, like Nick said, to really giving North Shore. A big test in the city. I think they're a couple pieces short, but anything can happen. So we'll see. But as far as Zion, he's that guy, and that's across the board sure. From him and his sisters. Just the stuff that his parents instilled in them, and the work. Of course, Dad being a monster in the league, and Mom in her own right was amazing. So they just put in a lot of work. I knew a long time ago that kid was going to be something special. And I got to see him, up close on a daily. So very excited for him.
Well, for sure. No, Zion, he's a beast. And it's good that he had that experience, like since he was a sophomore.
It made him hungry.
It definitely did, because he wasn't even the original starter at the when he was the first sophomore.
Nope.
But the kid they had, he had got hurt. And he did a great job. He did.
And that was one of my kids that played ahead of him.
Right.
Played with my son in Little League.
Right.
On my team.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I'm surprised you left off Shadow Creek, man. My nephew, Lil Mo.
See, now, like, okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah.
See, people think I didn't even want to say Lamar, because people already say I'm biased. Like, people know my schools are Lamar and Shadow Creek, so I try to show other teams love, because Shadow Creek right up the street from me. I'm right here, but nah, they're my guys, man. You know, Lil Mo, man, Maurice Williams.
That's my nephew.
Man, Tyleek Burton.
Yes.
Ja'Cory Watson. Nah, they're my guys over there for real, man. They gonna ball a lot. Ashton Jones. Like, I put them. I did a top 11 ranking, so I had them in there. But they just, the only thing, it's the matchups. Like, when they get into the playoffs, that's why you may see them out in the second round or third round. Like, it all depends on who they draw. Like, last year they went 10-0 regular season. They made it past the first round. Second round they drew into Summer Creek. You know, that's a great team right there. So, like, it really just depends on who they match up with. But they definitely have the talent to make a run, though. Like,
and that's across the board in Houston, though. I mean, you know, any team can get it when you look at the way the talent is kind of spread out in Houston,
right?
From Summer Creek all the way over to Ridge Point, where my twins are at running back. Shout out to the Drummer twins, triplets actually, but the twins are playing. I mean, it across the board in Houston, man. It's so many schools out there that can just flat out play. You just never know what's going to happen. You know, come playoff time.
Yeah, and just take a look at, like, what year that was, 2019. Katy, they end up playing North Shore in the third round. They lost.
Absolutely.
Literally the next year they won state.
Absolutely.
They was in 6A D1. Then the next year they was in D2.
They dropped down
won
to
the
D2.
whole thing next year. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the matchups be crazy.
I still believe that was a strategic move by Katy, though, to go D2 the next year. I still think that was strategic.
Well, you know, you got to look at the amount of schools that they have now. You know what I'm saying? That kind of pulls it that way, you know, because Tompkins is a bigger school. Is a bigger school.
It is
population wise. So, you know, that is, you know, that's a point, you know, that some people don't look at on the surface. Is, you know, that's a kind of way to avoid North Shore, to avoid Atascocita, because both of those teams gave Katy a run when they played them.
Absolutely.
And I said this about Atascocita. If they was in D2 last year,
they win state.
They could have made it. They could have made it to state.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm just being honest.
I would have loved to see them in DeSoto.
That would have been a great game.
Them in DeSoto would have been a movie.
Yeah, it would have been a. Because
I don't think Vandergrift a better team than Atascocita.
No, sir.
But DeSoto Vandergrift made it to the state. Like I said, it's about the matchup that you draw.
Now Vandergrift, you know, up front on that offensive line, they had several Power 5 guys. So they weren't no slouch.
Yeah.
You know,
they did. They did.
You and I were both at the game.
That was one of the worst Katy secondaries though I've ever seen though. Like that was one of the worst they've ever been in a long time.
Right.
Like they was giving up everything. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I hear you.
But yeah, nah.
Let's switch gears a little bit. You're heavy into recruiting. You help kids all the time get to the next level. If you go to the platform.drsports.com, he's giving you the guide, Recruit You, a guide to getting recruited. Nick, talk about that a little bit and give me some key points that you share with everybody with Recruit You. This was an article that dropped a couple weeks ago, which, you know, I had a chance to look at as well, which I think is a great guide to getting recruited. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I won't go into as far as the most important to least important, but I'll just go name a couple of things that to me I think stand out. The most obvious one, you got to have a film. Like with no film, like none of that even matters. I always tell kids, try to use Huddle. Like, don't go and make you can make your own tape as well, but a lot of times they be making 10, 15, 20. I done seen 20-minute long tapes like of stuff when they was in Little League and all other type of stuff, and nobody want to watch that. So make them take 4 to 6 minutes, explosive plays. That's what they want to see, touchdowns, stuff like that. Just impactful plays. But the film, you got to have the film. And another thing, football is year round now. Like, whether you like it or not, it's year round, and that includes the camps, the combines, showcases, 7-on-7. You have to be active. You have to get your name out there, like, and that's what they're looking for. Social media, you have to promote yourself. Like, it's mandatory. Twitter mainly, and make sure you have your first and last name somewhere on your Twitter. Even if it's not on your Twitter handle, make sure it's at least in your bio. Put your school, your classification. You can do GPA. I wouldn't recommend doing the 40 time because a lot of times they be lying anyway, and so that's gonna be proved one way or the other.
Right.
Off the field, and when I mean off the field, that don't necessarily only mean like when you go home and when you away from the game. That off the field can mean when you go to the sideline. Like, I've seen people not get offered because they body language, when they lose and stuff like that, or when they blow up at the coach on the sideline, stuff like that. I've seen it. I've heard about it. So just think about that. They want character. They want character guys, and they want leaders. So, and also don't get into no type of trouble. Don't be a follower when you're away from the school, and be careful about what you posting online. All that stuff matters. So that's just a few points I put in the guide. It's a lot more on there. Check that out at the platform.drsports.com. I believe it's one of the first 2 or 3 things that you will see on there, but I think it's a great guide.
Absolutely, and that's why I thought it was important. We talk about these things weekly. Coach, one thing that you harp on is body language, how you're seen and perceived. You talk about these things all the time with people that you're consulting and helping. Talk about that a little bit because, we're all on the sidelines weekly, practice, 7-on-7 in camps. You can't be one of those guys that tosses their helmet, like you said, blows up at the coach. All of those things, you never know when Steve Sarkisian standing on that sideline. You never know when Joey McGuire standing on that sideline. Coach Samples from Arizona State. These are guys that are very visible a lot of times in high school on the sidelines on Friday night. So talk about that a little bit.
That's important.
I'm sorry. You could I say the first part again? What you asked?
I was asking Coach J to talk about reiterate what you talked about on the body language and things that they get seen off the field, not necessarily off the field per se, but on the sidelines. All of those things that we see, on a weekly basis.
Nick is absolutely right when it comes to everything he said, and the body language is a key point. Simply because, again, young athletes, you have to understand that football is a team sport, and they're looking at, will you be a cancer or will you be a blessing to the team? And anything that's going to detract from the team aspect, they frown upon. So if you're coming off, if you're, upset with the coach and you're physically showing it, cussing the coach out, which I pray to God, no one does, but it happens. Mm-hmm. And your body language is poor, even down to the quarterbacks. Their coaches even look for quarterbacks if you put your hands out, in the wrong way or tap your chest. They look at all those things and say if they want to recruit you or not. So it's very important to understand you can't get caught up in the moment, that you always got to have a poker face, and understand that the bag is missed or secured based on what you do every single day in practice, at the game, on the sideline. It's not just the film, it's just your character that has to speak to it. So those things are very, very important.
Absolutely. Now, Nick, you got your coaching bag out this year. I know you've worked with kids in the past. KIPP Sunnyside.
Let's
on
go.
The south side of Houston, south side of town, man. That's a very, very new school, I believe, probably less than 5 years, but an area that needs direction, that needs guys like you in their corner. So talk about that a little bit. Tell me a little bit about KIPP.
Yeah, so KIPP Sunnyside actually been around for a few years. They're fairly new compared to all the other schools, and man, I just felt like it was a great opportunity because one thing about it, the inner city kids don't get a lot of looks. Like, if we being honest, not as much as they should. Everybody want to fly to the big name schools, and that's fine. That's all cool. But man, with Texas being as big as it is, especially Houston, it's so much talent all over. So every kid can't go to Shadow Creek. They can't go to North Shore. They can't go to Katy. They can't go. You know what I mean? So they have these spots have to be filled one with the other. I'm pretty sure you can look at every inner city school and find at least 1 or 2 D1 kids, and you can find 3 or 4 more D2 kids, and probably 5 more JUCO kids. Either way, those kids are talented enough to play on the next level, and so what I want to do is shed some light on that, and because a lot of times they don't even know how good they can be, because nobody really checking for them. Like, media don't come out to a lot of games, man. It's been so many times I've went to HISD games over the past few years, and it's not one single person there with a camera. Like, no media whatsoever there. And so I'm like, man, how do they expect to even get anything when nobody even watching, nobody even care for real? And you can tell, like, nobody really invested. So that's the one thing I want to change, because it's a lot of talent. It's not the kids. It's not the players. But it's the development. Like I said, and they don't even know how good they can be. They don't even know how to even have the right mindset and attitude to present themselves to be a college player. So that's the one thing that I vow to change, and it's starting. It's happening, and we're gonna see about that for sure.
So, what do you think is missing, man, across the board, as far as, what you see and what can be implemented to help, in that regard? Because, of course, me being in HISD before I moved here, I saw a lot of the same things, and I always wondered, I did everything that I could to help, while I was there. But what do you think from your perspective is missing across the board? Because there is a ton of talent there, but the narrative has to change. So what do you think is missing?
Right. There's a couple of things, but I think it starts at the top, like the leadership, like from the coaching to like everybody, the athletic directors. Like, I think it starts at the top, and everybody got to buy in. Everybody got to buy in. Like, the thing about football is it's different from any other sport. It's like one big puzzle.
Yep.
If you don't do your job, the next person can't do their job. And that is how it is. It's like one big puzzle. So everybody have to be on the same page. Everybody got to buy in. Like I said, it started at the top, like the leadership. I would like to see more. How can I put it? I don't know if I want to say more. I don't know if I want to say more funding. They can play in better stadiums too, man. Like, I'm just looking at these stadiums that they play in. Most of them don't even have a field at their school.
That's
which
true.
is crazy to me. They don't it's some schools literally don't have a real football field, not even to practice on. And that's crazy within itself. Like, even like, let's take Lamar, right? Lamar just built a field. They got a field now. They just built that turf field. I'm not even sure if it's 5 years old, and they've been around for a long time, and they've been good for a long time. But like, why is it now they just now getting that field? Why are they just now changing these schools around like that? And like I said, it's mostly HISD schools, the inner city schools, who's struggling like that. But like I said, it's gonna start at the top. Somebody gonna have it's gonna take everybody though to buy in, and like I said, you can go with more stadiums. The key, like I said, the key is not the problem. The talent is there. It's just getting them to believe that they can be that.
Absolutely, and that's what we guys like yourself, Coach J, myself. We make it a priority to do that. When Coach J was at Heights in the beginning, we knew each other, so we kind of had that going. And when we connected a few years ago, we had that going. I was just at Washington this weekend, and my next guest, Coach Mike West, is at JY now at Jack Yates, so we're going to talk to him shortly. But, Nick, before we get out of here, share your social medias where everybody can find you, where you can share that info and, tap in with you before we take a break.
Yeah, everything you can find me on Statz G, STATZ_G. And just look me up. Everything will pop up, or you can just type it in my name, Nick Gradney. Everything will pop up. Instagram, Twitter, all that.
Absolutely. And listen, don't sleep on my dog. Hey, he's one of the best battle rappers you'll find in the game. Look it up. He's a legend on that as well. Our producer, Lo, is one of the top guys with that as well. So, Nick, we're going to connect you with Lo here. He's got some things he want to holler at you about. He's a big fan. He talks about you all the time, big dog.
Okay, that's a bet.
All right, man.
That's what's up.
Man, we appreciate you joining us, man. I'll be tapping in with you for week to week. We'll definitely get you back on probably mid-season, see how things are going on at KIPP. We're going to take a small break, and we'll bring back the Houston hero, my guy, Coach Mike West at Jack Yates High School. He's also the head coach at Texas Star 707. We'll talk to him after this short break.
Parents, coaches, here on the On Your Mark Show, we're always preaching and pushing muscular recovery and prioritizing biomechanical muscular balance. The source for all your kids' athletic muscular care is the Integrated Biomechanic Therapy Youth Athlete Sports Program. IBT is at the forefront of revolutionizing athletic muscular care with position-specific protocols. Every position has specific demands and needs on a football player. Whether you're a quarterback, defensive back, wide receiver, or you on the O-line or D-line, IBT provides football players with safe, effective muscular care and education to reduce the likelihood or impact of injury. IBT protocols have been shown to increase speed, improve muscular strength and balance, improve range of motion, as well as reduce soreness and more. Make sure you check out IBT for all your sports therapy needs for your specific position. Wendy has 2 locations, one in North Dallas and one in Carrollton. Call or text IBT at 459-560-3200. That is 459-560-3200. Get in the game. Get with IBT for your muscular and therapeutic needs for your athlete. It's that time of year when you're looking for uniforms for your baseball team, your softball team, maybe even your basketball team. Or either you want to look lightning fast on the track, holla at Epic Sports Apparel. We can get you that gear that you need to be epic. Every play you compete. Do you just wake up and go hard? Do you rewrite the narrative? Follow Epic Sports Apparel on Twitter, and I am Epic247, on Instagram at Every Play I Compete, and on Facebook at Epic Sports Apparel. Rewrite your narrative. Just wake up and go hard. Be epic. What's happening? It's your boy Mark Henry back on the On Your Mark Show. Powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete. Do you just wake up and go hard? Be epic. We have a new studio home, Fishbowl Studios. The On Your Mark Show is going to bring it to you every Wednesday. Every week we're going to talk recruiting, the best games around the state, and the DFW. We'll get parents, players, coaches involved right here at Fishbowl Studios. Wednesday from 11 to 12. You can follow us on Facebook at On The Mark Sports, on Twitter at MarkHen44, on IG, Instagram at MarkHen_44. We are epic every week. Check out the On Your Mark Show at Fishbowl Studios. We out. What it do? Mark Henry here from the On Your Mark Show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete. Each week, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios from 11 to 12. But if you miss us, hop on to the On Your Mark Show YouTube channel. Click, like, and subscribe. The same heat that we bring on Wednesdays, you'll see it on the On Your Mark Show YouTube channel. Check us out, tap in, like, and subscribe. Myself and Coach J and our past guests and the guests from each week will be on the On Your Mark Show YouTube channel. Check us out. And we'll see you each week, every Wednesday from 11 to 12, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message.
Hey, ready, set, go. It's time to hit the mark. This that show you need to know about. We set ourselves apart. Sports talk at the pinnacle. We got all the knowledge covering every level. Helping these young men get to college. Got the coverage of a DB. Vision of a QB coming at you like a DN. Let all of that sink in. Working in the weight room. We can't take no days off. Doing drills when they not looking. That's what make us stand out. Don't worry about how much time is left. We got it planned out. Execution, elite footwork, nasty when we running routes. Accuracy off the chain, we've been on it from the start. Reaching for the sky, hitting the bullseye, we on the mark.
What it do? We're back, man. Shout out to my guy Nick Statz Gradney for hopping on Your Mark Show. Listen, you might want to listen to this, parents, players. This is some big stuff. We got it with Nick. We got it now with my guy, the Houston hero, my dude, Coach Mike West. Listen, he's also coaching at Jack Yates High School, a legendary high school in the Houston area. But he also has the Texas Star 707 organization, not just team, it's an organization. Coach, what it do?
Yo, what's good with it, fellas?
Man, chilling out, man. We appreciate you hopping on and giving us a little time, man, today. Definitely somebody on the roadmap to helping these kids. You're one of the guys at the forefront that does this, not just in the Texas area, but nationally. But before we get into that, tell me how I like to get into coaches, where you played high school, collegiately, and how you got into coaching. What led you to get there?
High school, I played at Houston Worthing. At the time, I think we were we were 17-5A at the time.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Dub, man. Great time there, bro. 17. It was a great time for 17-5A, man. At the time, you had Vince Young in our district. Madison was strong. Lamar was strong. Joseph Adai went on to play for LSU, and the coach was in our district, 17-5A at Sharpstown. I mean, I can go on and on about that, but 17-5A, when I link up with VY today, we still do a lot of stuff. That's my dog. Even when I link up with him, man, we still talk about how potent 17-5A was, man, coming out back then. So that was my high school situation. Kind of like my purpose is my story. Being heavily recruited and then not having the grades to take advantage of that opportunity to go to some of the schools that were, Power Fives. Essentially back then it was just, D1A and D1AA back then. But and so from there I kind of, signed I had two JUCOs, Trinity Valley and Kilgore. Kilgore was the number one junior college in the nation at the time. They had just won national championship. So I got placed there by Georgia, Tennessee, Colorado State, and they were going to come and get me out of Kilgore. So later on I passed my test, and then I had Hampton and La Tech. La Tech wanted me to play receiver, and I'm going to be real with y'all. We got to keep it real at all times. Y'all know how we are. I went to the barbershop, and all the unks in the barbershop was telling me about how bad the women was at Hampton. So I'll just say the rest was history.
Right. No doubt. And that, a lot of people don't know the HBCU experience in itself is next to the best experience that you can have. And that, I think that molds and shapes, people to this day based on that, man. And you got a chance to experience that. And I think that makes you, 100 is who you are. The way you move, the way you do things, that all of those things shaped you to where you are today.
Absolutely. I was just telling somebody earlier, that was the best thing that happened to me. Yeah, I had a lot of, big universities that were, internationally renowned for their brand of football in college that I could have went to, but I think God already aligned where I was supposed to be at, because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. The experience, like you just said, was second to none. Being around that many people of color that come from excellent, affluent backgrounds, economically, financially, it was like the Cosby Show or something. I didn't know that actually existed in real life. I didn't know that coming from Sunnyside. All I knew was, black people of color in poverty and, things of that sort. But going to an institution where, he had all these, affluent blacks coming from great backgrounds all across the country, it was just the greatest thing that could have happened. It shaped my perspective to this day. And like you said, man, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. And it is aligned with my spirit now of why I move, how I move, and how I move the way I move. So you're absolutely right about that, bro.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we've been talking, corresponding for a few years, even at tournaments. But this is the first time we had to sit down and chop it up like that. And it's why I wanted to bring you on today and just talk about things that you instill into your players as a coach. I think that you have a unique approach, and you have so many kids that you touch across the board. Talk about how you try to instill those beliefs and things into your players and mold them to be successful.
I guess if I can, summarize my philosophy when it comes to that, is just it's cliche. People say keeping it real, but that's just my philosophy, bro. Like I've seen it at the highest level. I've done it at the highest level. Before I came into working in high school recruiting, I was already working with some of the best football players to ever grace the earth in the NFL, with B.Y., Adrian Peterson, and Vic. And I was doing PR and branding for Adrian at the time. And that experience kind of led me to want to come over into high school recruiting. And that's when I started, doing camps and stuff like that, and just kind of got everything started. But, my perspective on it is stemming from working with those guys that have been at the highest level and seeing some of the things that, at the time AD was going through with his personal life and his career. And I'm just sitting there looking at that, and I'm like, well, damn, if one of the greatest players of all time in the history of football and college and NFL is experiencing these kind of things, and a lot of these kids don't even have a chance at with going through their process, right? And so that's kind of what formed my approach, is because, I kind of look at recruiting different from a lot of people, because a lot of the guys, and this is no shade to anybody else, but a lot of guys that are coming into recruiting, they're doing it because they need the recruits more than the recruits need them. I never came from that approach with this. I was more so trying to give the recruits and the parents and the families the things that they are going to need. I wanted to be more valuable to them than they were to me. And that's not in a negative way, but that's how it should be. I tell my kids and parents all the time, you should be dealing with somebody that don't need you. Because if you're dealing with somebody that needs you, you can never really truly know their intent, right, at the end of the day. And so I just keep it 100% real and transparent with all of my parents and all the kids that work with me. I tell people all the time, my approach is not for everybody. It's not if you want to hear, if you want me to tell you what you want to hear. And a lot of times I ask parents that when they, contact me about me wanting to work with, working with me and all that kind of stuff, I just ask, hey, you want me to tell you the truth, or you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And, that is a huge question that I have to find out at the beginning, because some people psychologically just don't want to know the truth. They want you to tell them what they want to hear. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? If you want that, then, cool, we can do that too if you want me to do that. But at the end of the day, I don't want people around me like that. I want people that want to know the truth, and then we can address it and we can fix it from that point, because as you guys know, we see a lot of turnover in this industry, and the reason why we're seeing so much turnover with these 4-star kids, 5-star kids, 3-star kids, whatever, your ranking is, and we're seeing them go out to these universities and these football programs, and they're not panning out. And the reason why they're not panning out is because people that needed them more than they needed the kid, you know what I'm saying, are getting a hold to these kids, and they're not telling them the truth, and they're not developing them the way that they should be developed because they're scared to tell them the truth, or they're trying to hide the truth to stay in good graces with them or the parents. So these kids are going underdeveloped outside of football, off the field, and they're being underdeveloped on the field, and they're going into these universities not prepared. And so my approach, if we summarize it and put it in a nutshell, is just I'm hardcore. I'm going to tell you the truth no matter how much it hurts, but I'm also going to give you a plan of how to fix whatever that is. And so that's why we see so much success, is because we're very meticulous about the kids that I put my hands on, psychologically, how they're wired, and, their backgrounds and things of that sort. And I'm very particular about that because every kid is not for me. I've had kids that I put in position for recruiting to be very successful, but somewhere along the line, we still weren't on the same page. So I've let them go on and do their thing, and I'm happy for them, and I'm happy I was able to serve them in that moment because I move with God. I don't move for any other reason other than that. So if God puts me in someone's path, even if it's for a year or two or however long, I've done my job and I'm obedient. And I'll gladly let them go on and let somebody else reap the benefits or whatever the case may be if we don't align. And so for me, align means you want to work and you're more concerned with the work than what comes, the attention and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I look for in kids and parents. Kids and parents that are more concerned with the work that it takes to get where you're trying to get than whatever attention. If I help you get popped off and you start getting all these offers and you not want to work no more, and you want to go and travel and do business and take pictures more than you want to work, you're not the kid for me no more. And so that's kind of, how I approach things.
Coach Johnson, we talk about this all the time. That's one of your pet peeves, is preparing them to get there and be successful. Talk about that just a little bit.
Man, you hit the nail on the head, Mike. We go way back, and, man, that you can't be further away from the truth. It's not so much nowadays the talent. It is the work. A lot of kids are getting caught up in the hype of, early success, and they fall for that trap. I made it. As soon as you open your mouth and say, Google me, you're in trouble.
Right.
And we have that mindset. And I always give the analogy of, if you sit down and eat, a big dinner and you fat and full, are you going to be hungry? Right. And the reply is always, no, I'm full. Right. So if you're young and everybody's always telling you, hey, you're the best, you're the GOAT, right? You're a 5-star at a freshman, at a sophomore, you fat and full. Right. So what's the reason of working? Where's the hunger? So that's why those kids that have no stars, that have 1 star, have a little more grit, because they feel like I've been denied. I've been, people sleeping on me. So let's give them an extra incentive, to get up and work. And me, honestly, I don't think a lot of kids now, because of everything being readily available, just compete for the sake of competing. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it's a whole lot of kids out there like that anymore. We growing up, everything was outside. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And you couldn't go outside in our neighborhood in Sunnyside or anywhere else if you wasn't about that life. You couldn't go get on a basketball court, football field, and go play with some goons.
That makes you competitive.
If you wasn't about that life. So if you didn't have that competitive spirit in you wasn't finna play.
No doubt.
You go outside now, you very rarely see kids playing. And everything is organized now. It's very little pickup. You know what I'm saying? Where it's us growing up, you had to be picked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you better not be that last dude.
No doubt.
You feel me? So that stuff don't happen anymore. So I think it just takes the competitive edge out of a lot of kids. And now you have this social media era where everything is for likes and, whatever.
Clicks.
I think a lot of kids are playing just for the likes because they see a lot of other guys doing it. But then when it comes to the work, you know what I'm saying? Do I want to actually get up at 5 a.m. and go throw 100 balls or 200 balls? You look at the kid like, I'm going to do what? You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So that separates the really, really good ones from the ones who just talk the talk. But the work part is honestly what is going to help, kids at the next level. And last thing I always tell parents, do you want it now or do you want it when it counts? You know what I'm saying? Middle school, high school is early, but when you run out of gas, when it's time to secure the bag, right, all that development stuff from early, the mindset, right, is either going to help you or hurt you when you get to college, because that's when it's time to secure the bag.
Absolutely. I mean, those are the things that we talk about on a weekly basis. That's why we got my guy, Coach Mike West, in the building.
One of the best.
One of the best. If you don't know, now you know. Coach, tell me what was the genesis of talking about starting Texas Stars, not just an organization. It's an organization and not just about 7-on-7. You do some mentoring. You do everything that you can to get these kids into places and in front of the right eyes that they need to be seen by.
Oh, for sure. Man, just being honest, bro, I didn't even want to do 7-on-7. I never liked the culture that, was being, established with, the 7-on-7 stuff. I was, at the time, like I said, I was working with VY and Adrian, so I was kind of, I had my hands full with that, with the PR stuff, as everybody kind of knows, it's known that, AD was going through some stuff and whatever. So I was more, at that level, it was so big and so huge of what we were doing with rebranding him and getting him back into the NFL and stuff like that at that highest level. I just ain't had time to deal with all the stuff that was going on with 7-on-7 because it was just, I was just like, I kind of, and not to be cocky or nothing, bro, but I kind of looked at it like, man, that's play stuff right there. Like, you got people out there fighting and arguing and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, bro, it ain't even, bro, y'all, that's lower level stuff. So y'all, it just was like, I just wasn't feeling it at first, bro. But honestly, if I'm being 100% transparent, the reason why I even started the Stars, bro, was because, and Johnson know this, Bryce Anderson, I've been having Bryce since he was in the 7th grade. He's one of my clients, one of my kids, they family. And at the time, he wasn't really feeling like the team that he was playing on locally here in Texas. And I had him and I had Ruben coming up too. And they both was going to need a 7-on-7 team that was, solid. And so I started the Stars for them. You know what I'm saying? They know that. They parents will tell you that. I started the Stars for them. And I had another group of kids that they always had been asking me to start a team. And so my first year we started, that was the reason why I started the first year, man. And it was rooted in the same principles and the same, systems and value systems that I represent. And I felt like the game needed that in general. And also I started it for Jaleel Johnson. Jaleel was, the team that I was kind of consulting at the time. I won't, say what team that was, but he was with them. And then he was like, man, Mike, you just need, I need you to start your own team, bro, so I can come with you or whatever. And I was just like, man, I put it off until, like, literally the last minute. It was like December, bro. We had our first tryout in December, bro, right before the season started. And I just decided to go ahead and go with it. And so I really started, and that's really who I am. When people get to know me, everything I do, I really do it in the spirit of other people. You know what I'm saying? And it typically works out because I'm doing it with the spirit of that. But that's why I started the Stars, and I wanted it to be a program that was kind of balanced, that can have one foot in on the third-party side, recruiting side, the national, exposure side, and then one foot on the side of coaching, right? High school football coaching and the same value systems and more, because I am a coach. And a lot of people don't know that I started out coaching before I even got into all this other stuff. And so I felt like we needed something in the middle, because in most situations in our industry right now of high school football and recruiting, you got somebody either on a far left, which is, the far left, far right. You got the coaching side, and they hate everybody on the third-party side. And then you got the third-party side that don't even relate to the coaching side because they just don't understand that. So I felt like I wanted to establish a program that was kind of in the middle and had the best of both worlds. And we were highly successful in our first year. Man, we didn't play a lot of tournaments, but every tournament we went to, we pretty much kicked a lot of ass. And, excuse my French, but, and then from there, it just kind of, went on from there. And like I say, Johnson, I ended up, doing some of his stuff. And he was at, my second year. And actually, the first tournament we came to with Johnson, and we ended up going to the championship game or whatever.
Yes, sir.
That first year.
Absolutely.
And we didn't even have all our players. We was missing Bryce that tournament. We missed like 5 players that tournament, still winning. So anyway, that kind of just told me that was more confirmation that first year that, hey, man, we can do this at this level with, our first year. We don't have all our kids because they can't afford to travel, all this other kind of stuff. And we just really just kind of just jumping out there, man, jumping off the cliff. We didn't know how everything was going to go and everything. And so that kind of told me, I'm just like, man, if this is this easy, our first year, and I ain't even gotten my bag yet. I'm just like, oh, yeah, we got to keep it going. So that's how we started doing it. And then I think that first year, man, we had so many kids get recruited. Bryce went to A&M. Jalen Johnson is at the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana. We had, man, I can go down and list and name all the kids. Tanner Murray, all them kids, bro, that just ended up going to play ball. And they came to us. Every kid that has ever came to the Stars, I can really say that every kid that has ever came to the Stars program, we have, either further advanced their recruiting or majority of them come to us with no recruiting at all. And they end up being these top guys. And so that's kind of what I pride myself in. You kind of hit on that, Johnson, earlier about, how the kids kind of get lethargic and complacent once they kind of get these 4 stars and 10, 20 offers and all that kind of stuff. I would tell a kid and a parent in a minute, I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? I don't chase stars. We create stars. I don't care who you are. I want kids that's hungry. And if you get to the certain level of offers and stars where you think like you made it or you cocky or your attitude bad and all that kind of stuff, I don't even want you on my team, bro. This past season, I almost kind of, I won't say got rid of my whole team, but, we just went in a different direction. I had a whole new team for the national championship in April at Hero, and we came one game away from winning the tournament with a whole group of new kids because I pride myself in kids that are just – I want hungry kids. I want kids that are dogs, and that's what you're going to see around me. Either you're going to see a lot of people starting to scatter and get away from me because they can't handle it, and you're going to end up seeing a lot of kids that's dogs around me because that's what matters. And Johnson, you know that, having baby boy off college. Man, the only thing that matters when you get to college, bro, who dogs, who's mentally resilient, who's psychologically resilient, and who can withstand the adversity that it takes mentally, psychologically, and physically day to day. And Absolutely. If you're not giving me that kind of stuff, in high school, it's like, I'm not going to cheat you. I'm not going to allow you to be around me, and I'm not going to not allow you to be around me, and I'm not developing you. Because if I'm not doing that, I'm actually being counterproductive in your – I'm hindering you. I'm setting you up for failure. We're in a business of delayed gratification, bro. I don't need your gratification right now. I need like Bryce Anderson and Cam Dewberry and Kelvin Banks and all of them. When they in college right now, you seeing them flourish because of the things that we were able to invest in them and the seeds that we were able to plant in them when they were in high school, their work ethic and all that kind of stuff. And so my ratio of success is so high because I don't have a lot of volume. I don't take on a lot of clients for that reason because everybody doesn't align and everybody don't really want to be successful at that level. Like y'all just said, they really just like the sound of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm going to Texas. I'm going to Bama. I'm going to whatever school. They like the sound of that. But they really don't want to put the work in that it takes to be successful at that level. Getting there is one thing, and being able to sustain is another thing. I'm in the business of creating sustainable recruits at the next level. When you look at some of these other organizations that are kind of like, more popularized and whatever to the masses, and you look at how their kids do when they go off to college, you don't see a lot of sustainability, bro. You see a lot of kids that are going and they got to transfer here. And not to say every kid that transfer, because that ain't the case. But in their situations, a lot of them just aren't mature enough to handle those things, and you're starting to see them starting to, like feels a lot, right? We don't have a lot of that, bro. Most of our kids, when they go, you starting to see them gradually progress and get that bag like y'all just said, right? And so that's what we pride ourselves in, man, is just, identifying the right type of people. And we don't want every single kid. I don't want the 5-star kid. I've turned down 5 stars. We know we in the business of kids recruiting kids, right? So I get, like, when I had Bryce, they would be like, man, Coach such trying to come play with us or whatever, because Bryce was an alpha, and all the kids want to be. And we know in this business, 7-on-7, you try to get a 5-star, 4-star, and then you try to get that kid to go recruit other kids for your team, right? That's what everybody do. And so when they would come to me and be like, Coach, we want this person to come play with us for this tournament, I say, nah, I don't want that kid. He can't play for us. He can't put on my uniform because it's character. I don't want kids like that. Then you start seeing them same kind of kids when they go to college. Bro, some of them not even playing football no more because of that, right? And then, people like, man, you was right about that kid, Mike. And I don't like the fact that I was right about that kid. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But in this business, like y'all just said, right, it's all about the attention, right? And so you can't tell these kids nothing when they in high school, when they got the 5 stars, and every media personnel from 247 Rivals on 3 hitting them up and they DM trying to interview them. The high school coaches is scared to say something to them because they're going to transfer to another school, right? So they not really being held accountable at that level, so you can't tell them nothing, right? But what I always do, I sit back because I've been doing this at the highest level. I've been around the NFL forever. My best friend played in the NFL 8 years. I got all my so I know what it takes to get to that level. And so I'm like, man, I just know this kid going to feel a lot. I know he ain't going to make it, bro, and I hate that. But that's what typically happens in those situations, bro. So in a nutshell, the reason why I started the Stars was because I felt like the game needed that you got enough 7-on-7 programs where everybody is really exploiting the kids and using them for what they can get out the kids and not developing the kids up, right? You got enough of that. So I just feel like the game needed a change of pace, man, and needed a program that was about just creating dogs and not about all the fluff and the hype and all that. We're going to take a bunch of kids that don't nobody want every year, for the most part, and we're going to go kick a lot of butt. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. And so that happened to me first. I got my butt kicked by a team that didn't have not one kid that anybody knew. And I say, man, this is the direction that we need to be going in instead of going after all these hot 5-star, 4-star kids, man. We need to be going after these kids because they hungry and they disciplined. They were so structured. They were doing everything on time. They were coachable. And they were doing their job. And I'm like, this is what we need to be teaching the kids right here. Like, not out here freestyling and doing whatever. Because when you go to college, as y'all know, you can't do that in college, right?
Absolutely.
That's the main way you're going to get your ass benched in college.
Yeah.
Doing your own thing, right?
Right.
And so in 7-on-7 now, we don't have a lot of that, bro. Because you got parents chasing hype, you got kids chasing hype, and you got 7-on-7 directors that are exploiting a lot of kids. That's just the truth, bro. So that's why I started the Stars.
Absolutely. In a nutshell, you hit on everything, in the bucket on that, man. And that's why we wanted to have you on, man. And we appreciate you giving us your time.
Yes, sir.
But we're running out of time here today, Coach. Listen, what I need you to do is give out your social medias where everybody can find you. Of course, we know where to find you. But I think it's very important that you're very transparent in what you post and what you do. In a nutshell, how can they reach out to you? How can we find you? Definitely, listen, we're going to have to continue this conversation because it's a longer show than we have time to go. But before we get out of here, give out your social medias where they can find you, man, and I definitely appreciate you coming on today.
Man, anytime, bro. Anytime y'all want me to come on, just let me know. I jump on. I make time for it. It's all about, this ministry for all of us, right?
Yes,
it's
sir.
our ministry,
Absolutely.
bro.
Yes,
so
sir.
Anytime we can help people and enlighten people and inspire people, I'm with it, man. So the Houston Hero, Twitter, THE, Houston Hero, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is just simple Mike West. You can catch me on any of those platforms, man, and anything y'all need, man, just let me know. I got y'all, bro.
Absolutely. We'll be bringing you back on in the next few weeks before the season gets started so we can talk about some JY football. But for myself, Coach J, Coast to Coast Athletics, and definitely On Your Mark Show. Before I go, shout out to the missus, man. Happy birthday. Vicky Henry, happy birthday. Mother, my better half, my ride or die. Today is her birthday. Tap in with us next week, Wednesday. We're up every week, 11 to 12, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network, the On Your Mark Show.
Yes, sir.
set, go. It's time to hit the mark. This that show you need to know about. We set ourselves apart. Sports talk at the pinnacle. We got all the knowledge, covering every level, helping these young men get to college. Got the coverage of a DB, vision of a QB coming at you like a DN. Let all of that sink in. Working in the weight. That's what make us stand out. Don't worry about how much time is left. We got it planned out. Execution, elite footwork, nasty when we running routes. Accuracy off the chain. We've been on it from the start. Reaching for the sky, hitting the bullseye. We on the mark.